Right then guys, welcome back to another video. And today we're back on the TUFO Files. So stuff from, this first one for example, guys, from 1953. So we're back looking at some cases from close to 60 years ago that have probably been lost for a long time. Moving forward guys, I'll probably do a TUFO Files and then I'll probably do another case of something I've experienced, and then I'll intertwine them like that because I know a lot of you like the personal experience stuff. Yesterday I did a podcast over at Mysteries and Monsters. So go check them out guys. I'll link them in the description. Great guy Paul, and that'll be on his channel in a couple of weeks time I think. So once that is up and running on this channel, I'll post a link in Discord and I'll post a link on my channel in a community post. If you haven't joined the Discord channel, guys, please join it. Links down below. And that is, so there's all sorts on there, guys, to talk about your own experiences, Bigfoot, cryptid stuff, UFO stuff, ghosts, all types of high strangeness, guys. Every subject's on there. So please jump over there, guys, and join it. There's already a cool group of people on there, sharing stories and sharing their ideas and thoughts on things. So let's get into it. So this first one, guys, is from Australia, 1953. And this one, guys, was seen by a pilot. So it's up there on the scale of credibility. Yeah? So crescent-shaped object seen by pilot. What looks like a new type of saucer twice crossed the path of Captain B.L. Jones, pilot of a machine of the Australian Northern Airways line. At 8 p.m. on May 17th, 1953, he was flying over Queensland. He said it appeared to have a glass dome brightly illuminated and beamed a dazzling light onto the aerodrome below. It was noiseless, manoeuvred around my plane and twice crossed my path, speed very high. An aircraft control tower checked up, showed no other plane near. 9 hours later, a radio operator saw it over the Pacific, ascending at great velocity. At Brisbane, observers said the object was a crescent form and shone brightly. So this one, guys, I know people always say, don't they, that they think it's our craft that we've reverse engineered somehow, and it's man-made. We just don't know anything about it. Now, albeit that could be very true, but on the other hand, guys, does anyone think back in the 50s we had any type of craft that didn't make a noise? Which is the biggest thing for these types of example, guys. If it was a flying saucer and you saw exhaust coming out the back, or you saw some type of propulsion that was making a noise, I think there could be a case for it was man-made and we reverse engineered it somehow. But when you look at these cases, guys, and it's incredibly high speeds, no noise, that's when I start to think maybe it's something, there is something, I don't want to say extraterrestrial or alien about it, but there's something that we haven't made. Who knows where it comes from. So this one, guys, is a saucer landing in England. This one's interesting. So an incident nearly identical to the one above, but I don't have that, guys, unfortunately, was brought to our attention by the London Unidentified Flying Object Research Organisation, which was known back then, guys, as LUFRO. I'm not too sure whether that still exists, but that's what it was called back in the day. A farmer named Bill Edwards was walking through his pasture fields one day early last June when he came across imprints in the ground which formed 2 concentric circles, the outer one approximately 23 feet in diameter and the inner one 16 feet across. The width of the imprints was 4 inches and the grass at the edge of them showed indications of having been burned. The depth of the imprints was about 1 inch, leading to the most inescapable conclusion that they were caused by some large, heavy circular object which had landed repeatedly in the field. The ground was very hard, as there had been no rain recently, and this fact added to the evidence that the object which landed must have been very heavy indeed. The field in question is about half a mile from the nearest road, and no vehicle could have reached the spot without there being some signs of its approach through other fields. But there were no such signs. Edwards had been to the same spot 2 days previously and according to him, there were definitely no circles visible then. The day previous to the discovery of the mysterious circles, Edwards and some helpers were working in a nearby field. They noticed nothing unusual that day, nor did any other local resident report anything unusual. So this goes back to a couple of videos before, guys, when I was saying that I thought my idea was that crop circles were, or some of them anyway, were a case of a UFO landing and it leaving the impressions of the landing gear on the field. That's been my theory for a while. Not maybe not some of the crazy geometric patterns, but certainly some of the more simple ones that have been proven that they weren't man-made, and we don't know how they were made. I think there's a strong possibility, the way I think about it anyway, that crop circles are a symptom of a craft landing and leaving behind impressions in the ground, a lot like it would be if there was snow on the ground here, and you would see your tyre tracks in the snow, for example, a similar type deal. But with this, obviously, it's landed and taken off vertically. And I think this one, guys, is some good evidence for that theory. So this one, guys, is from County Antrim, Páirc Leanóin in Ireland, and it's a weird one, guys, because it's about a case of a pharmacy and a UFO split Irish oak. So it's a bit of a crazy story, guys, but stick with it. So it was a Sunday afternoon, December 28th, 1958. Joseph Bennett, a local farmer, was walking in fields when he heard a strange noise. It made a sound like rushing wind. When he looked up, he saw a round, dark object about 7 foot in diameter flying through the air towards him at a height of about 20 foot. It came from the south and was travelling northwest. It went rapidly through a row of trees, dividing 2 farms near my own. Then it sliced through the 2 foot thick trunk of a 40 foot high oak tree about 8 foot from the base. It had vanished by the time the tree crashed to the ground. In Páirc Leanóin, no one would believe Mr. Bennett's story at first, until he told everyone, "Come and see my tree." They did, and saw that it had been cut in two. So a lecturer called Mr. Nunwheeler at the Aeronautical Engineering Department of Queen's University, and a former member of the Council of the British Interplanetary Society, interviewed the farmer and examined the tree. After examining the tree, the Nunwheeler stated that in his opinion, lightning could be ruled out, as he could find no signs of scorching. However, he found that there were signs of rotting at the point where it had broken off, and there were also 4 marks on the bark, 3 on the trunk and 1 on a large branch, all in a direct line. He said, "I think that the rotten state of the trunk explains why it broke at that particular point, and the 4 cuts in the bark may have some significance." Mr. Neither was not prepared to state definitely that the tree had been brought down by a flying object. However, he was considerably impressed by Mr. Bennett's account, and added that this was the first time that an alleged UFO had left behind some tangible evidence. So with this one, guys, why, if it was a case of the tree had simply rotted away and it had been brought down under its own weight, why would you as a farmer, this is a question for you guys, why would you as a farmer claim all those years ago in the 50s that a UFO had taken it down? Why would he come up with that story, which is so elaborate and outlandish, just to make up the excuse for a tree come down on his own property? It doesn't make any sense to me why he would come out and risk all the ridicule and risk all the mocking if it wasn't true. So a ministry spokesman as well, guys, investigated it, and what he said was the tree snapped just below a dead branch. It was very heavily branched at the top, and the strain over the years had damaged the cells. A sudden gust of wind was all it wanted. Just one thing puzzled the experts: the cleanliness of the break. It could be that the fungus developed in a regular pattern, but it is unusual. There was certainly no evidence of impact damage on the outside of the tree. What else to say? So he said that as the black object was said to have come from the direction of Lough Neagh, and that there were many examples of water sprouts near the Loughlin file at the observatory, he supported that hypothesis. So Mr. Bennett, commenting on some of these theories, said the object was not rotating, nor did it give me the impression that it was a whirlwind, as apart from the stricken oak tree, it disturbed nothing else. So if you seeing an object, guys, do this, 7 foot in diameter, a round object, travel at 20 foot in height, going in and out the trees and then striking it. Like I say, guys, why would you make up this story for a tree that nobody knows has been felled and nobody cares about? It's on your own land, you're a farmer. You could use it for firewood. Why come out with that story and tell people if it wasn't true? That's what gives, personally, guys, that's what gives a lot of credibility to certain stories. When you think about it logically, things just don't add up. Why risk your reputation? Why risk your standing in the community to make up a story just for a tree that's felled and that's came down, unless it was true, which I think lends credence to what the farmer saw. So this one as well, guys, is a follow-up to the story that I've just said there. So the Irish were divided today about Joseph Bennett's unidentified flying object. Some said it must have been a flying saucer. Others retorted that it was just an Irish fairy tale. Whatever it was, says Farmer Bennett, it cut his oak tree in two, 10 foot above the ground. Yesterday afternoon, I was walking in my fields when suddenly there was a strange noise in the sky. I thought it was a rush of wind. So this is what we spoke about before, guys. It came hurtling through the air about 20 foot above the ground. It hit a 30 foot high oak tree, splitting it in two in a matter of seconds, and it disappeared into the sky. So at least on that one, guys, they've ruled out lightning because there was no scorching. But I mean, if there was lightning and there was bad weather, would the farmer be out in the middle of a lightning storm? I don't know. Maybe he would. I'm not a farmer. But if there was lightning and that type of weather was going on, surely the farmer would have known if it was lightning. If there was lightning, why would you make up the story again about a UFO hitting your 30 foot oak tree and snapping it in two? That's probably what this one, guys, probably one of the most unusual ones I've seen where there's been physical evidence of a UFO left behind, and a farmer's been willing to go on the record and tell people, which you don't normally see, guys. Really, it's usually your regular metropolitan suburban people who tell stories about UFOs and sightings and encounters. You very rarely get anyone from the farming community coming out and telling you. They're a very, very close-knit group of people, and they tend to keep things to themselves. They might talk about things between them, but it's very, very rare that you get anyone to come out and tell the story publicly. So this one, guys, is back in Taunton, Somerset, 1958. Some college boys spot half a dozen of these college boys in their dormitory witnessed. So in the first sighting, they saw two fairly sharp egg-shaped objects flying from north to south in a clear sky. They were of silvery appearance. One flew beyond the other. They seemed to jerk slightly in flight. The sighting lasted about 10 to 15 seconds. Then half an hour later, they saw only one object, also egg-shaped, flying back in the opposite direction from south to north. It was also of silvery appearance and flying much faster. The next night, 3 other boys at the school observed a white egg-shaped object flying in a clear sky at about 7 p.m, dusk. This sighting was not made from a dormitory, but from outside, and that was also witnessed by a dozen other boys. So the interesting thing about this is, guys, back in the 50s and 60s, the two prominent things, even though you did get the disc and the saucer-shaped ones, the prominent ones that you would see in the UK, or that I've found, the pattern that's forming, going through all these case files, is it's either a cigar-shaped UFO that they've seen, or an egg-shaped. Those are the two prevailing sightings that come from the UK in the 50s and 60s, as far as as the cases that I've went through here. Contrast that to today, and modern day sightings, you don't really hear about egg-shaped ones anymore. And cigar-shaped ones, it's all triangle-shaped objects or spheres. So that's just an interesting thing, interesting bit of correlation I would see, guys, and a pattern recognition that I picked up on. All the way back then, it was very much cigars and egg-shaped, and modern day ones is more triangles and spheres. Albeit even my own sighting, guys, was a sphere. So this next one, guys, is very interesting. This is another pilot story, a Dutch pilot. So a pilot in 1958 sees UFO split into 3 parts. So Captain Peter of the Royal Dutch Airline stated on June 29th he saw a glaring light disintegrate into 3 parts while flying to New York City from Shannon Island the previous night. He spotted the light 2 hours out of Shannon while flying at an altitude of 10,000 feet. The light became brighter and crossed our path in a low arc. The moon was right up there too, so we could compare the illumination with the moon. It started bright as Venus and at one time appeared brighter than the moon. Then it suddenly burst into 3 parts, each part still very bright. 2 seconds later, the parts either burned out or become lost in the clouds beneath us. So, what could that be, guys? Breaks out into 3 parts. Could it have been, I suppose, potentially could it have been a meteor and it's broken into 3 parts and then faded out? I suppose that's what skeptics would say it was. Let me know down below, guys, what you think that one was. So this one, another strange one, guys. This one is from England, and it's an engineer, James Cook of Runcorn, Cheshire, claims contact from a visitor from outer space. So he claims to have spoken to an alien. He claims that during November 1959, he was picked up by a space vehicle, which had alighted at the top of Helsby Hill. After flying about for a while, the saucer went into a mothership and off to the planet Shebec, claims Mr. Cook. The planet was bigger than Earth, and the days are longer and the nights exceedingly cold. The people are 5 foot 2 inches tall with golden brown skin. There is no industry and no birds, which are unique facts to include in your story, I suppose. Mr. Cook returned the next night, landing at Moor, not far from his home. So, what do you think about that one, guys? Do you believe him? Do you think he was taken to the planet Shebec? Do we think that it's bigger than Earth and the nights are exceedingly cold and the days are longer? A very strange thing to include, guys. If that had happened to me, I don't necessarily think I would have come back and said there's no industry there and there's no birds. Seems too random facts to include. Whether he was told that or that's just his observations, unfortunately, guys, we don't know. Right then, guys, that is it for this episode of the TUFO Files. I hope you enjoyed this one. Some bit more outlandish and crazy ones in this one, as a lot of people would say. Next video, guys, will probably be another episode on what happened to me when I was on Dartmoor. Probably the experience that me and 4 father of the lads had with the shadow figure that was on there, and the different viewpoints of what each guy saw. So thanks a lot, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below. I still comment personally back to everyone who leaves a comment, and Discord again, guys, down below. Please come over and join the Discord channel. That's where all the links for future podcasts go up first. That's where everyone gets to talk to me directly if you would like to. And I will see you at the next one, guys.